Holidays can be a time where humiliation rituals are rampant. And so, in today's video, I'm going to talk specifically about how the holidays are weaponized by abusive individuals to, get these humiliation rituals going. And as a abuse survivor, it's really important that you're not only aware of how the holidays are weaponized, but what you also can do, to avoid these sorts of things. So my name is Dr. Felicia. I'm a licensed psychologist and owner of Skill Set Counseling. And so in today's video, let's get the, discussion going and talk about what these humiliation rituals look like specifically around the holidays. So when you think about the holidays, what do you think of? You think of times where um, the mood is high, right? People are, tend to be happier. People tend to be more relaxed. People are spending more and more time with their families. And for some people, that can be great. But for people who are abusive, and it's not just abusive people, but also spiritually abusive environments, they use the holidays to lure people into these humiliation rituals. So I'll start with one way that can happen. First of all, if you have not watched any of my videos on humiliation rituals, I recommend you do so. I have an actual playlist on humiliation rituals, but humiliation rituals are exactly what they sound like. They are rituals in which humiliation is involved. And it is not just it's not just a time or situation where you happen to be humiliated. Humiliation rituals are done with the intention. And when I talk about intention, it doesn't matter whether they meant to or not. It's done from a place of ill will. It is done from a place to either assert or maintain control. And it is done many times to either retaliate against somebody who has tried to assert their power within a structure, or it is done to sort of like preemptively cut off someone at the knees so that they don't achieve their potential. And so when it is done in ritual form, um, many times it's done, like I said, not only to do those things, but because we have rituals in so many aspects of our lives. And that's why when humiliation is woven into that fabric, it's very easy to catch that person off guard, right? Because nothing is ever really stated that it's going to be a humiliation ritual, right? Think about it kind of like hazing, even. If you think about things like hazing or, initiations or whatever, they usually even aren't announced that they're going to be doing some things to humiliate someone. So that's why you have to have your awareness up around those. So the holidays, like I was talking about before, holidays, times of good cheer, people are, I guess, in better moods, relaxed. And so that is that is something that is done when you think about a humiliation ritual around the holidays and around family gatherings. That's done because the holidays themselves sort of provide a cover. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're hanging out with like family or something like that, right? And there's a family member that you've made it very clear that I am not going to be around this family member. Maybe this family member has caused harm, maybe they're unsafe, whatever it is. So you've made that clear, right? Now, it would be easier probably for you to like back out of some, probably random, let's say just a random like Sunday dinner or get together, and they're like, oh, so and so is going to be there. You can easily be like, I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to show up. But when it's the holidays, you're going to get a lot more backlash. And typically, the rhetoric around that is, it's the holidays. Why can't we just put our differences aside for the holidays? I'm sure you probably have heard that before. And so, what they're doing is that instead of putting the onus on the offender to either stay away or do the work that they need to do, you as the survivor are now meant to carry that load. Well, you're not meant to, but they'll try to guilt you into doing that. And it doesn't just happen with family around the holidays. It could be things in spiritual environments, work environments, whatever it is, whatever boundary that you have set, people will try you, okay? Hear me now. They will try you around the holidays because the holidays provides a really good cover. Oh, why would let's say for instance that you said something to someone or confronted somebody about something during the holidays. Well, guess who's the person now that has ruined this big holiday? They may say, "Oh, so and so ruined Christmas, or they ruined Thanksgiving, or they ruined whatever holiday it is because you either put somebody out or you left or you declined the invitation," right? So just be prepared for that. A lot of times people will try things like this during the holidays because of what I talked about, that cover. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you may not even get any warning. So let me give you an example of a humiliation ritual that could occur. Let's say you've said that you don't want to be around this person or this person is unsafe or whatever. You let them know that if that person's there, I'm not going to be there. So let's say whatever holiday dinner or gathering is supposed to start at, I don't know, 7 o'clock or something. Okay. So you get there, right at 7, maybe a little bit earlier, and, get everything settled. See that this person is not there. You're feeling good, relaxed, happy, talking with everybody. And then this person walks right in, right? And so you are wondering what to do. You're probably caught off guard. You probably feel like a deer in the headlights, and you are wondering, like, what am I going to do to address this? So you could either sit through this holiday gathering where you've requested that, or not even requested, said that this person's going to be there, I'm not going to be there, right? Or you either sit through that or you leave. And either way, it's not going to be good for you. If you sit through that, lots of things could happen. And if you leave, lots of things could happen. So let's kind of go through what could happen. Let's say, you are maybe it's something where you didn't really like plan for what was going to happen, right? And that's another thing. I'm going to take a small detour and warn you that every time around the holidays, you need to have several backup plans. So let's say you're going to travel to visit people, right? And you're staying with some people, but maybe you don't particularly, and I wouldn't even recommend that if don't trust them. But let's say in your mind, you have to think through all the scenarios. If there's a chance that this person is going to show up, you need to have your plan B and plan C in place. Do you have a hotel? Do you have your own transportation? Because the last thing you want to do is be stuck there. Imagine you are stuck there, right? You can't leave, and then this person is there, right? And you're trying to find the host and say, "Hey, what happened? I thought so and so, was not going to be here. You gave me your assurance they wouldn't be here." And then maybe they had no idea, right? Or maybe they did. Whatever the reason, this person is not leaving. And so you have a couple choices. Let's say you just stay. Well, this is where round two comes in. And sometimes people can be so diabolical and mean-spirited that they will use your presence there, as you okaying that person's treatment of you. Or they might use that to shame you. So it could be, "Oh, well, now that we're all here, we would like to know why you are not speaking with this person or whatever," and you're put as the bad person. Now, that is a humiliation ritual, because what that is doing is that you've been already victimized by that person that you don't want to be around for whatever reason, right? You've stated your boundary. And then now you are put as the bad person for having a boundary. And this is done in front of other people. Humiliation rituals almost always have an audience. They do, whether the audience is like there in person or whether it's like recorded and shown to a bunch of people. There are always people like behind the scenes pulling strings. And so you really want to be careful about that because they're putting you in that position to make you look bad. Now, on one hand, of course, people are going to think whatever they want about you. That's not your job to, be your impression management team, right? But at the same time, it is incredibly hurtful and disrespectful for someone to do that to you, especially when you've set a boundary. And so they will use the holidays. Oh, we're here gathered here together today, and we just want everyone to put aside their differences, and we just want to know why this and this isn't there, and whatever. And so they're sneaking that up on you, and then what are you gonna do, right? Because you might get upset, you might shut down, all sorts of things might happen. So I'm telling you this to warn you that this is what this could look like, and you need to be prepared with several alternatives if you decide to go, right? Let's say you decide um, you to just gather your things and say, you know what, it's been a lovely evening, but something has come up or I need to leave. Or maybe you don't even announce anything. You just say, you know what, I'm gonna go to my car, and you don't come back from your car, whatever it is, you leave. Well, then guess who is going to be the topic of the group chat? This person ruined this holiday and they did this, this, and this, and that, and whatever. Yes, that happens. Okay. And so you have to be prepared for that. And again, this can happen in families, it can happen in work, it can happen in spiritual settings where you have set a boundary. Sometimes this does not even have to be around a boundary that you set specifically, right? So there are people, when you look into, like abusive families, right? And abusive family structures, um abusive spiritually abusive structures, places like that. One thing that you will often find is that people do not do a good job about regulating their emotions and expressing grievances, right? And so let's say someone has a problem with someone else. Instead of saying, hey, let's talk about it, they'll talk to everybody else, not talk to you, and then be very rude to you in front of other people as a way of putting you down. They will do this especially around the holidays. So for instance, maybe and usually, I mean, I could talk about this for a long time, but I'll give you a brief example. Somebody is mad at somebody else. You might be wondering, why don't they voice exactly why they're angry or why they're upset? I have a couple reasons. The first thing is that it could just be a very passive aggressive and indirect communication style. And I'm not saying a style as in, oh, it's just a normal variation. It's actually not good, but there are people that do that as a part of their abusive behaviors. Passive aggressive and indirect communication always has people guessing as to what they did to upset this person who is now, throwing an adult tantrum or whatever. And so so there's that aspect. But another reason why it may not be voiced to you directly is because the person inside knows that the reason that they're upset is not anything that has to do with you. It's their problem and they know it, but they want to try and make it your problem without you knowing it. Okay. And so it could be something where, there's a holiday thing, you go to say hi to this person or whatever, and they completely ignore you. Or they say something very rude to you. Maybe it's a joke that is very unkind, something like that. They want to try and kind of like bait you into acting in front of everyone. Why? Well, because if you act out or you crash out, then guess who becomes the bad guy and the person who ruined the holidays, right? So think about this theme with humiliation rituals around the holidays. They usually want to use the holidays as a cover, and they want the idea of everybody being nice, not kind. Remember, I did a video on niceness versus kindness, but being very performative, so as to catch you off guard or to have the stakes so high and then have you be the person that ruined it. So let's say you walk out of whatever, foolishness they have going on. Instead of the people in there who try to set you up taking the blame, they're going to make you be the bad person. So there's a lot I can go into with this, but I just want you to remember that with the holidays and with these humiliation rituals, if you don't remember two things for me, and I want you to remember put them in the comments if you remember what I'm going to tell you right now, is number one, have multiple backup plans. And number two, don't be afraid of being labeled the bad person that ruined whatever holiday, right? Like, is it, can you be okay with that? There's one show that I have seen before, The Office, right? Let me know if you like The Office. But there was one guy in the show, I believe his name was Creed, and someone said something to him, and I think he said something like, I've been called worse by better. You know what? I'm getting that wrong. He said a variation of that, but basically the spirit of what I'm trying to embody here is that you have to have this attitude almost of, you know what, like if someone says I'm the bad guy, I'm okay with that, right? Part of your recovery from abuse is that you have to be willing to have a label because it doesn't mean anything, right? So what if someone says you're a bad guy, you ruined Christmas, you ruined the holidays? Okay. So I want you to be okay being the bad guy, being the villain. And then also I want you to remember, have multiple backup plans. And your backup plan should involve your own transportation and your own accommodations. And so you have to think about that, is that something you're willing to do? And if it's not, then maybe rethink that. Okay. So love to hear from you in the comments, and I hope you have a wonderful day that is filled with peace. My website is called skillsetcounseling.com. You can go there to find more information. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.